and hold the meeting up for a minute.
I have 7 o'clock, Jennifer. Are we supposed to be live? Sorry? All right. I'd like to call this meeting of the City of Kyle Ethics Commission to order. It is 7 p.m., November 14th, 2022. May I have a roll call, please?
Rebsam,
Here.
Chapa,
Here.
Anderson,
Here.
Pifferer,
Here.
Bigelow Bauer,
Here.
Fahey.
Here.
Okay, first item up is citizens' comment. We will now open the citizens' comment period for anyone wishing to speak. No? All right. No one comes forward, so we will close citizens' comment period. Next item is the approval of minutes. Has everyone been able to look over the minutes, and are there any changes?
No. No.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
All right. We have a motion to approve by Ms. Pfeiffer and a second by Ms. Bauer. Is there any further discussion on this motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved as presented. Item 4, considering possible action. We are here to discuss and possibly take action on updating or modifying the City of Kyle Ethics Ordinance, including but not limited to new verbiage regarding notification updates after a complaint is heard by the committee. I think we've all had a chance to look over the markups. Would anyone like to make a comment? I see we managed to take out the appearance of impropriety may in itself be a conflict of interest. I think that was a good thing to do. Anyone have an issue with that? From Mr. Montgomery, would you like to make a presentation?
I can go through all these.
Please.
There are a couple of deviations from what we discussed last time.
Okay.
And so I kind of went and rewatched our meeting from last time, and I just went through and went through different things and made the changes based on the feedback I got from the last meeting. And so on that first page, of course, you see the strike through of that line, which is more about trying to keep that from being a cause of action in and of itself within the statement of purpose. And so there still can be conflicts of interest, obviously, later on in the document, but that just, I hate for that to be cited to as a cause of action against an individual. And so that was based on the feedback I got, so I struck through that. That's all I'm doing, is just taking that one sentence out. On page 3, I added a definition for employment. I kept it fairly broad. I thought about going into like IRS rules and that sort of thing, but I felt like this probably encompasses what I think the intent was, which was to include contractors as employees, or in terms of employment, not employee, but to create independent contracting work as a part of that. So it's not just, if you have outside employment, it's not, a W-2 sort of deal. It could be contract work as well.
Okay. That had not been defined previously?
I didn't see it. If it was in there somewhere, I missed it. The term employee right above that has really more to do with the city of Kyle employing people. The term employment is used in a couple other areas. Originally, I was going to put it into another section or for a particular section, but then it made sense just to make a separate definition for it. And that really, the impetus for that was from page 5 of the red line, number 9, the top there talks about offers of employment, that sort of thing. That's really, so you say a person or business entity from whom within the past 12 months, the officer or employee or his or her spouse directly or indirectly has solicited an offer of employment, well, that offer of employment could be for contract work,
Right.
not just W-2 work. That's where that would fit in. And on that note, so on that section too, you know, I spelled it out to make it a little more clear, at least in my mind, or at least in someone, you know, looking at it at first glance, trying to figure out, you know, what this really means. Is I had a hard time reading that section again and again, trying to figure it all out, and then created another a number 10 line there, which the formatting is a little bit off. I had trouble with that on Word, but that would be a number 10 in that list of previously 9 items under 2-171A. So, and I spelled that out too because it was part of the previous section. It was just really complicated.
Okay, the way it's presented there, number 10, it's in parentheses with a B after it.
The B should be struck through.
Oh, okay, that's struck through.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
So it should, at the end, it'll read 10 and then some spaces and then a person or business entity with whom the officer or employee or his or her spouse directly or indirectly has engaged in negotiations pertaining to business opportunities. Before it was built off of, well, it was previously a letter B. Well, no. Let's see here, because I added in that verbiage, struck through. Yeah, because before it was number 9 had A and then 1, 2, and 3, and then a separate B. Well, I made, instead of A, 1, 2, 3, I made it A, B, C, and then added a whole other line for that altogether, which I think just kind of breaks it out a little bit, makes it a little more clean, in my opinion.
I have
Well-
a question. Oh, go ahead, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
Well, I was going to say on page 4, under the section headline, it starts with A. And then
Well,
the one
so
for 9.
that's a
and
sub,
10.
it was a
Right.
sub B, so like.
Yeah, so the B under 10 is
the-
formatted correctly.
Yeah,
Under.
Yeah.
yes, yes,
Good deal.
yeah.
I have a question. So are you saying that 9 is more for employment or with the city, and number 10 is if for someone doing their own business negotiation?
Let's take a look at the definition. So we have a person or business entity with whom the officer or employee, so in that context, employee would mean the definition of employee, meaning an employee of the city of Kyle. And same with 9, a person or business entity from whom within the past 12 months, the officer or employee, again, it'd be an employee of the city of Kyle. And that would be a situation where his or her spouse directly or indirectly has solicited an offer of employment, outside employment. So, and a definition of employment, the added definition would include contract work. So if you're, I'm trying to give a hypothetical off the top of my head, but basically a current city employee soliciting an offer of employment or accepting an offer of employment that's outside of their current employment with the city of Kyle. Does that make it more clear?
Not really, because, with the exception of the wording of negotiating pertaining to business opportunities, to me, it's exactly the same, in my opinion.
Say it one more time.
So I'm looking at it as if it's a person who's working with the city, who's currently an employee of the city, and then trying to figure out, okay, so is number 10 meaning someone who is wanting to do contract with the city? I just want clarification on that.
I think the word negotiation is key in that, and as opposed to direct involvement. They're negotiating something in the future, it looks to me like.
And that's when the clock starts. Right? For
Yeah, I suppose so.
10 doesn't, just so I'm make sure we're all on the same page, that doesn't change anything from the previous code. I mean, that number 10, I didn't really add anything in, I just broke it out, separated it. So, it's talking about, business opportunities for that current employee, not like business opportunities for the city of Kyle. Like, we're not soliciting to work with the city of Kyle. It's for that employee's outside employment. Is that, or maybe I'm not understanding what the question is.
Well, to me, 9 and 10 are exactly the same thing. So wouldn't we just strike out 10 and just keep it with 9 as it is?
Now, let's see. Well, I think the difference would be that, yeah, that number 10 would be talking about directly or indirectly engaging in negotiations, whereas 9 is I mean, I guess you could say that engaging in negotiations is sort of solicitation of an offer of employment. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, with the exception of number 9, you're having 12 months. Within the past 12 months, the officer or employee or his or her spouse directly or indirectly has with the A, B, and C. And then you have only with whom the officer or employee of his or her directly or indirectly is engaged in negotiating. It's just, to me, it's the exact same meaning with just different verbiage.
I don't know. A, B, and C all mention the term employment. But number 10 is negotiating pertaining to business opportunities, not employment.
But wouldn't it be employment outside of a city employee?
A business
Sorry, what?
opportunity isn't necessarily an employment.
Well,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
A business opportunity isn't necessarily the equivalent of employment.
Yes, but I'm trying to figure out, are we talking about number 9 being a city employee and number 10 being more of a contractor, or is it also a city employee? And if it's both meaning a city employee, then to me, it's the exact same thing. And we would only need one, either number 9 by itself with the sub A, B, and C.
I think that the business opportunities in number 10 refers to external, non-city business opportunities, negotiating with businesses that might relocate here. If I'm a consultant, I can't say, well, you can also pay me to be your consultant to the city for that business opportunity. Is that what you mean by business
Yeah.
opportunities or not
Mhm.
employment
There's
with the
all kinds
city?
of business opportunities that you
Yeah.
can have that are not employment, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And number 9 is talking about
Yeah, or even if I speak,
employment, A, B, C.
yeah.
like if I'm speaking to a caterer to come to my daughter's birthday party, a city employee cannot wink and say, you know, I work for the city, so maybe you cut me a deal, something like that.
Yeah, you're changing the verb a little bit. With A, B, and C, you have solicited, received, or accepted. Whereas in number 10, you're engaged in negotiations, so it's a separate category.
Separate, and it's business opportunity as opposed to employment. I think is that what you're meaning for it to be different?
Well, so
Or?
it's I didn't change the verbiage. I just moved it.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Because the previous section, if you could kind of bear with me. So you have to read it from the top of 2-171, the general A, and the way it would read is to avoid the appearance and risk of impropriety, a city officer or employee shall not take any official action that he or she knows is likely to affect the economic interests of a person or business entity with whom the officer or employee or his or her spouse directly or indirectly is engaged in negotiations pertaining to business opportunities. And so when I added in a person or business entity, that is just copying what the first few words of number 9 is, because that was previously B, it was a subgroup of that section. So all I did was just take that language, that leading language, put it in there, made it a separate number.
Right.
I didn't change what it meant or anything.
Right,
And
yeah.
I don't think that the definition I added changes what it meant either. Now, if we don't want it at all, I mean, that's a whole nother, I mean, that's
But it
another
was
topic for
already
discussion.
there.
But it was already there. I didn't change any of the verbiage on that. That was just, I just broke it down a little more.
Okay. Well, we'd be making a recommendation to council with these things anyway. If they have a problem with the verbiage, they also have the option of taking it out.
This is very
or
true.
changing it themselves.
They can just take our recommendation with a grain of salt and do whatever they want to do. But,
Yeah.
so it's not, nothing that we do here is necessarily binding on the city.
Exactly.
So,
Well, Ms. Chapel, would you have a problem with us leaving that in and letting the city council make the determination on it?
Yes, sir, I am.
You're happy with that?
I'm okay with that, yes.
All right. Well, let's move on to the
Okay.
next then.
let's see. Next one should be on page 11 of 30. 2-181, person's required to report, time to report, place to report. So this was where we had discussion last time on changing it to personal knowledge. Where I backtrack on that, when I was going through the code more thoroughly, I found that section 2-308, and I just made an internal reference to that. And let me see if I can find where that's going to be at. I'm here, 2-308. That's on page 29 of 30. And if you look at that section, it kind of encompasses what the discussion was last time about, the idea last time was to try to avoid people reporting rumors.
Right.
Well, 2-308, which is what makes 2-181 a penalty, really. Any city officer or employee who has knowledge of a violation supported by evidence that an unreported violation of the ethics code has been committed and who intentionally fails to report such violation as provided in subdivision 2, section 2-181, which is the section we're talking about. So I just made a reference to 2-308 inside of 2-181 so that somebody who's looking at that thinking like, oh, I have knowledge. Well, do you really have knowledge? Because when you look at 2-308, that knowledge has to be supported by evidence. And so that, I think, helps bolster that a little more. And at first glance, you think, oh, knowledge, well, okay, I heard a rumor, I'm going to report it. Well, now, if you keep reading that section there, it'll direct you to 2-308, which I think then will help the person make a decision on whether or not they need to report that or not.
Knowledge
So,
supported by evidence, right?
I hear you on that, but it was brought to my attention by one of, I think we should probably make that more clear in section 2-181A, that it has to be, I mean, maybe even use the same knowledge of a violation supported by evidence.
Sure.
I think it should be in both places, just so there's not confusion, to avoid confusion.
Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem in adding that in there either.
So a city officer or employee who has knowledge supported by evidence of a
Now,
violation.
the exact verbiage in 2-308, city officer or employee who has knowledge of a violation supported by evidence. All you gotta do is add in supported by evidence after violation
Okay,
of
think
any
that
of the
would be good.
provisions of this ethics code. Shall report.
so just add supported by evidence there.
I would, to avoid any confusion, yeah.
Okay. What about the line I added, though?
I think that's fine to
Just leave it
stay. I just, I think that's good to tie them together.
Okay.
But just adding those three words after
Sure.
violation helps to make them both say the same thing, so that when you do tie them together, there isn't, well, this says this and this says this, so which is it?
Gotcha.
I mean, just some, I could see somebody saying that.
Mhm.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's good, Sherry. Anybody have an issue with that? No. All right, let's do that.
Next would be on page 17 of 30. So yes, I missed one thing here on section 2-272, composition. We need to add, or change that word, make it appointment, so it should read, the Ethics Commission shall consist of 7 members, and each member of the council shall recommend for appointment 1 member of the commission. So that change is noted. I'll make sure that gets into the next draft.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Terms of office. So basically, the gist of this section here, and on the next page as well, was just changing and clarifying that council members are not appointing ethics commission members. They are recommending for appointment.
Right.
And so I think it's a little nitpicky, I guess, but I think it's important. I think there is a big difference between appointing and recommending for appointment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we discussed
So-
that
I
at
agree.
length in our last meeting, too.
So that's all that verbiage there, and that's all that. That's just more semantics than anything else. But shall I continue going through that, or y'all have read it and understand it and agree with it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Next would be on page 21. So this was where we had some discussion, and I had brought up the idea of a kind of a bill of rights for the accused. I couldn't find any examples of that in other ethics codes. I think that just kind of reserving and just stating, I added this line, just if the city officer or employee is also an accused individual within the complaint, nothing in this subsection prohibits the accused city officer or employee from exercising their rights afforded to them by the United States Constitution. Just kept it sweet, short and sweet, to the point.
So they can remain silent or request a lawyer?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, wasn't that more that they are allowed to talk about
that was the impetus
something?
for this, is
Because they
that,
weren't allowed, they aren't allowed to talk about it, but if it's themselves, they can.
so I think.
That was your intent, right?
I think the intent of this, of subsection E here, has to do with the hypothetical, say if Jennifer received a complaint, not against herself, but, with some other city employee, and then she divulged information about that complaint to the public or however, then that would be a violation. But if she was the one being complained on, she has the right to defend herself.
And tell people.
And
talk
tell
about
people
it.
and make comments. I think that's a constitutional right that
Yes.
is retained regardless of, and I don't think this code can take that away.
Right.
And so I'm really just adding that line. It doesn't really do anything except just reaffirm that you do have these rights.
Yeah.
To help maybe deter somebody accusing somebody of a violation.
Correct.
I guess. So, and I kept it just in this section because I think it's really only where this would apply.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something, but that's. So yeah, it like I said, it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of points it out.
Yeah, no, I think it needs to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Oh, and then, let's see, page 24 of 30. So this was the timing discussion we had last time. It just gave us a 30-day deadline after final disposition. The signatory for all written opinions shall be the chair of the Ethics Commission. And B.
My only nitpicky thing there is
Sure.
I think saying ethics commission makes it a proper noun.
What would you prefer?
I just think that ethics commission becomes a proper noun versus the commission is lowercase. I offered to do it offline.
I was trying to keep it consistent in the document.
Is it inconsistent? We should fix
Well,
that throughout
the-
the entire document. Let's start from the beginning.
Like A, written opinion, the Ethics Commission, all lowercase.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of
don't-
changes.
No, let's not debate this. Move
Why
on.
would it be-
I withdraw.
Okay, I was gonna say, why would it be proper? Ethics would be an adjective describing commission, which
It's the
commission?
name of the
Ethics
commission,
Commission.
but that's okay.
Yeah, it's lowercase like throughout the document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I
Now,
withdraw.
if it was
Yeah.
capital, I would agree with you.
Yeah. I always try to make, when I'm doing sort of drafting, I try to make sure the terms are consistent, but then, yeah, you have that.
It just caught my eye because it was in
Sure.
track changes.
Yeah,
It was a trap.
I don't think it, changes the substance though.
No.
so.
We'll allow you to withdraw that comment.
I will. I stand by it, but I withdraw.
I stand by my withdrawal.
And so then on 25 of 30, notification, there was some discussion last time about within 15 days after the issuance of an opinion, copies of the opinion shall be forwarded by the city secretary or their designee, in case she's on vacation, to the complainant, the respondent, the ethics compliance officer, which would be a copy for myself, which I would appreciate that actually, and any member of the ethics commission who did not participate in the disposition of the case. And just struck that last line because that's how, we didn't have that laid out who is supposed to do that, so. Any comments on that? And then on page 26 of 30, I don't have access to the city website, so this just states that I'm forwarding any written opinions for a declaratory ruling, any opinions that would go to Jennifer that ended post on the city website, which I've had a couple of those, I think.
Does that meet the requirements that we discussed in our last meeting for making sure everybody gets notified of this? Remember?
Well, that 2-279 is just, that's not notification of any rulings from the commission. That's just like, well, let me make sure that I didn't miss something on this, but.
For posting on the internet? Okay. I guess that's not really different, is it?
Did I put this in the wrong section? Let me make sure. Yeah, this is, so the last sentence is kind of different from the rest of it. The previous sentence was at least how I interpreted it, was whenever there's a request for an opinion, but maybe I messed this up here. Let's see.
Okay, well, the note I had on that one from our last meeting was just to work on the grammar, and I see you did a strike through on the last part of the sentence, or maybe that takes care of what we were concerned about last time. You just shortened up the grammar a little bit.
Well, yeah, last time it was, let's see how I read before. The ethics compliance officer shall promptly post the written opinion for a period of no less than 5 years on the internet via City of Kyle website. And so that was the comment that Jennifer gave last time about how I don't have access to the website, so we changed that. But I'm wondering if is it supposed to be down here too? Did I put it in the right place?
Yeah, I was gonna pull up the electronic version.
Oh, you know what, I might have, it needs to be here too,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
on, yeah, so that's.
I was looking at the
next
wrong,
one.
yeah. Well, I think this also needs to be changed too, because I don't have access to the website regardless, so, but I need to put it in. I need to make that same change that I made in 2-279, I need to make the same change in 2-280A2, the bottom of A2, it looks like. So,
It's also in this opinions initiated by the commission, it's in that one as well.
okay. So, I'll make the same changes on, sorry,
That one
and
the
then,
next page, yeah.
yep,
Are you talking about the changes in the verbiage that you made in
yeah, so.
279? You're going to transfer into 280?
I'm sorry?
You're going to make the same change in 280? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so the change I made in 2-279, the bottom, which essentially all it does is just says that I'm gonna be forwarding the opinions to the city secretary for posting on the website. That same change will need to be made at 2-280A2, the bottom of that subsection, and then 2-280B,
And again
Yep.
in C.
and then in C,
C1B.
C1B as well, yeah. So,
C1B?
so here, here, and here, okay. Sorry about that, guys.
No, it doesn't say anything about what to do with findings of fact and conclusions of law.
I thought we covered that in the,
Findings of fact isn't in here.
well, it's rarely used at all in the document, which is,
In
well,
280, item B over there, is that part about city secretary shall make the opinion available as a public record in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act? Is that going to remain?
yes.
Okay.
It's that last sentence, the ethics compliance officer shall promptly post the opinion for a period of no less than 5 years. I can't do that, she has to do that.
Right.
So it would
That's
just be
fine.
changing that last sentence to say that I would forward it to her to post on the website.
Okay, so
That's
you're
all.
inserting rather than changing, okay, I see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's similar to the bottom of 2-279.
Okay,
So I would do it there on A2, that last sentence. I would do it also on B, the bottom of B, and C1B, the bottom of that last section too, same thing. Well, wait, actually,
It's the second to last sentence.
second last, you're right, yeah.
say that again, the last part?
The second to last sentence on C1B. Copies of the opinion shall be forwarded by the compliance officer to the members of the Ethics Commission, to the person who requests the opinion, and to
Alright,
city
got it.
secretary promptly, yeah. So just reworking that to make it so that Jennifer is the one posting it. Let's back up though, on the 2-278, because I think part of the issue of why we got here was the notification to the complainant. And so the term finding of fact and conclusions of law isn't used very frequently, but it's used in the very first subsection there, a written opinion. The Ethics Commission shall issue a decision within 90 days after the filing of a complaint. The Ethics Commission shall state in a written opinion its finding of fact and conclusions of law. So that opinion is what we're giving the deadline, on the notification.
Where exactly are you?
So, sorry, let me start over.
So
Okay.
24?
Page 24 of 30, the very
Okay.
top.
Okay.
2-278
Yeah.
disposition. Because we had a lot of discussion last time about the timing and when we would provide an opinion to a complainant and other parties that would get the copies and what the time frame would be for giving them those copies. And so I just want to make sure that everyone's clear that the opinion includes the findings of fact and conclusions at law. And so when I go to the next page, 25 of 30, notification, within 15 days after the issuance of an opinion, copies of the opinion shall be forwarded by the city secretary or their designee to the complainant, the respondent, the ethics compliance officer, and any member of the ethics commission who did not participate in the disposition of the case. So that opinion would include the findings of fact and conclusions of law. If that
Good.
clarifies things.
Does that satisfy everyone?
So basically, I
Yes.
need to go back and put those findings of fact on the website and notify these people.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
yeah, because that's the whole, yeah, they want the opinion posted, yeah. Well, that's not there.
So
but
findings of fact equals opinion, yes?
That's how I read it.
Okay.
And that's another topic for discussion too. I mean, if you want, an opinion in this case includes findings of fact and conclusions of law, which is kind of awkward because if you're dismissing a case, there's not a whole lot of, well, it just depends. Your finding of fact would be that it lacked merit. Your
Right.
conclusions of law is that it should be
That doesn't
dismissed.
sound confusing to me, because
Yeah.
you stated it correctly.
Sure.
That would be the disposition. Okay.
Sounds
that's
good to
fine
me.
with All right.
Yeah.
Everybody happy with that?
Yes.
All right, very good.
Okay. I think that's everything. And then I get to the complaint form.
Yeah?
This was an example I took from the city of San Marcos. And I took it and I added things that worked for, with this code here in Kyle. I actually have one change already that I do want to make. I think the most important part of this whole form is the second page where it talks, they have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And number 1, I want to strike the end of that line, just have it say, you have received a copy of the of the city ethics ordinance, period. And strike the ethics commission rules of procedure for hearings, because we don't really have separate rules, it's all part of the code.
Which number was that?
Number 1. Are you on the form page?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you want to do what to number 1 exactly?
So in number 1, it would just say, you have received a copy of the city ethics ordinance, period.
Oh,
And strike the rest of that sentence, because we don't have a separate commission rules of procedures for hearings.
oh, I see, yeah.
It's built into the code, so.
Works for me.
But all these little things, I added some things in here too, which were, some of the verbiage from the city of Kyle's code. Yeah, 3 and 4, I think, were the 2 additions that I made to this form. If I can go, let me point out. May not be this one. Yeah. So back on the red line, page 19 of 30, so under section 2-274, complaints, that language is what I was using to create the form. And so I included the language from, so under 2-274A, that second little paragraph there, a person who knowingly makes a false statement in a complaint or in proceedings before the Commission is subject to criminal prosecution for perjury or civil liability for the tort of abusive process. So that became my number 3 on the form. So it makes them have to read that and understand that that's what could happen if they lie.
Do we need to do any further definition on what a tort is, or is that just understood?
It's just a common law. I mean, I don't think that, I'd have to,
Probably not, I'm just
I don't think so.
asking
Put it
just to
that
make
way.
sure that it's
I don't
covered.
I don't think we have to. I
All
mean,
right.
it's a civil, it's a civil tort. They'll probably Google it right away
Yeah,
to make sure
imagine
they're
they
not
will.
doing it. But that's just, I don't think our code has a definition of that. Take a look.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing it.
It's kind of like the same with like perjury. People kind of know what perjury is.
Right.
I guess not everybody would know what it means to commit a tort, but it's a civil cause of action. It's rather than criminal.
A wrongful act or an infringement of a right other than under contract leading to civil legal liability.
Yeah.
Well, that's a mouthful
Those are
right there.
torts in general, and then the tort of abuse of process is a
Googling doesn't help. is
civil
what
cause of
you're
action. So I have never litigated one of those, so, but,
It's not a word you hear all the time.
no, it's not.
There are numerous specific torts.
saying. I do have,
Trespass, assault, battery, negligence, products liability, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. That's from Cornell Law.
When I was a 1L in law school, we had to write a memorandum on intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's kind of difficult to do sometimes.
Sounds like politics.
There you go.
this is just a suggestion, and I don't know what other city forms look like, but if the city could create an inbox that's like city secretary at City of Kyle instead of Jennifer's name,
I noticed that too. Yeah.
that way when Jennifer runs for mayor or hits the next Powerball, we make sure that it's still going
Yeah.
to someone.
I don't think there is one, is there?
I can find out if we have city secretary.
Yeah.
Because I know we have like open records at City of Kyle, that kind of thing, that you wind up having so many different ones,
Yeah.
It's just a suggestion as well as if your name and email address is on any other form.
Right, yeah, then it would take a whole code change to fix the form, so yeah, I get it. We'll have to adjust that for sure.
Well, and I'm wondering too, when they actually do the ordinance, if there's a way to kind of make it a little bit,
More generic.
yeah, so that you can allow for little changes like that.
Yeah, I was gonna, so I've never known anyone to be able to fit their whole
Oh, yeah,
complaint
no.
in this space. So I was gonna suggest that.
That's kind of what that line,
Okay.
but,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so,
And then these ones, because this is a sworn oath.
I guess there's no other
I
way
would
to
change
address
them
it to
to
the
I.
city secretary, is
I
there?
have reviewed.
oh,
That way the notary can make them be like, I have reviewed a copy.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I see your point.
So Jennifer's suggestion would be to change 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of you have received, like I have received, I may be asked, I understand, I swear or affirm.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, good point.
okay.
I'll
I
make
like
those
that.
changes. I like that suggestion a lot. Let's see.
So what was the determination about using Jennifer's email address?
I think she's gonna have to check on that.
Yeah, so this is silly, but recently they changed it because like we had city engineer at cityofcal.com and it doesn't work for certain other security things and stuff like that. And so I gotta figure out like how we're gonna deal with something like that, unless we just wanna put by email to the current city secretary, you know,
Yeah, and then they can just look it up on the website.
and they have to look it up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
I
Yeah, I
think
really
you're
don't
right
think
that
you
it
should have
shouldn't be
your name
your
on it.
email.
By email to the current city secretary?
Okay. I'll make
Good
that
catch.
change.
Very good catch.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Do you have to get it notarized in Hayes? Or the state of Texas?
No, you can, and actually, a lot of notary blocks will have the county, like, a line there, so you can write in which county, because usually, whenever something's getting notarized, the person who's doing the notarization will write the county where they're actually notarizing the document.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should it say state of Texas and county of Hayes on there?
I mean, if it was being notarized outside of the county of Hayes, most notaries would just cross
Cross
through
it out?
Hayes and
Okay.
write in the county that it's in. That's what I would do. I'm a notary, so
Okay.
that's what I do when that happens, yeah. Just wherever you're located at that time.
Got it.
Yeah. So technically, it could be out of state too. Well, it'd be a different notary if it was out of state, but yeah, I mean, you can have documents notarized across the country and just change the state and just handwrite it in. That's what I do. So.
Okay, perfect.
So does anyone have any further changes to the text or the form that they would like to discuss now?
I would just like, I know I mentioned it at the last one, on like, where might the link get put so someone could find it on the website?
Which one?
Like the link to the actual form that we're trying to design here. Where would
I
someone?
would think that it would go on the Ethics Commission page.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's
that
fine.
would be logical.
Yeah.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Where was the part about the money and all of that we talked about?
Yeah,
When I reviewed the video, the decision was made not to change anything on that. Because there was a discussion, if I remember now, well, I have my notes from the last meeting, so I could probably
Where was it?
jog my memory real quick.
Right here, page 6 of 30.
Yeah, the gifts. And there was a lot of discussion about whether there should be a dollar amount or just leave it as nominal value. And there was discussion about like inflation and how what's nominal now may not be nominal later. And there was a lot of back and forth, but in the end, y'all decided just to leave it. That was from what I recollect and what I watched when I watched the video last week. That's what otherwise I would have changed it. Unless I'm wrong, unless
inflation
somebody
out of the equation.
misremembers. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I intentionally went through the whole meeting and made sure I was following along and making the changes as I was watching it.
That kind
Yeah,
of does sound right to me.
didn't we say that if something came up, that whoever the sitting ethics commission would just decide among themselves whether they decided it was nominal
Right.
or not?
Well, and I used the example of like Tips Treats last time of,
Yeah,
some of those
yeah.
cookies are really expensive and, but it's, you bring a gift basket of cookies, even though you may have spent over $200 on them, like it's still just cookies. Yeah, but they're proud of their cookies.
Right,
So,
yeah. And any dollar amount would require the document to have to be updated periodically.
That was the other comment
yeah.
as well. I remember that. Yeah.
Any other comments? I would like to make the motion that we would present these changes to the Ethics Commission document to City Council for their consideration with the changes that we have noted in the meeting so far.
So move.
So. Do I have a
Second it.
Okay. Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, that motion passes. The next thing we need to discuss is how we're going to present this to the council.
Is that on the agenda?
No.
Yeah, but that's not on the
That's
agenda.
not on the agenda?
No. I
So
mean,
that does include future meetings and agenda items?
But if we can't discuss that here, then we would have to have another meeting, is that correct?
Well, just, my legal advice would just be to, I'll just contact the mayor or city manager and see how they want us to do that.
Oh.
If they want me to go do it, or if they want you to do it, you know, I'll just figure that out.
All right.
You've already voted now to pass these on to them, and how they want to receive them, we'll defer to them on that.
I see.
I may talk to Paige and figure that out, so.
All right. The only other item then was future meetings. Do we have any discussion on future meetings? Anything in the works?
Nope.
No? I believe we're done here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
My second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Next time I'm gonna say